Thank you everybody for showing up today. I'm Steve Drost, co-founder of Quivr. We're a CRM built by financial advisors for financial advisors. Also from the Quivr team, we have Ashley. She's the rock star that made this happen. So thank you for that, Ashley. Anybody that knows me knows that I would not have been able to pull off a webinar. So that's great. With us, we've got Dustin. Dustin, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey everyone. And likewise, Ashley, thank you for putting this together. Really great work. And I'm the founder over here at CurrentClient and really excited to dive in. The work that the Quivr team has done is incredible. So it's going to be fun to show how one and one equals three here.
Awesome. Ashley, you want to share that slide thing now? So CurrentClient, actually, a little bit of how I met Dustin last year at the XY's Planning Network's, what is it, XYPN Live 2024. Quivr, we won one of the awards, and Dustin and his team at CurrentClient won the other. And I'm a curious person, so I had to go figure out, like, what is this? What does he do? And I went over there, and after about 3 minutes, I think all I said was, dude, wow, when you get the Salesforce integration, call me. And he called me, what, 2 or 3 months later, and we started building it. We've rolled out the Quivr and CurrentClient integration softly a couple of months ago, slowly enhancing it, and now it's ready to run. But again, Quivr, what are we? We are the CRM built by financial advisors for financial advisors, and our objective is very simple. How can we help you run your business at peak efficiency? And I'm excited to go into detail on how we can do that in tandem with CurrentClient. How are we different? Obviously, there's a ton of CRMs out there, everything from Excel and Outlook all the way up to the more complex ones. How are we different? We're built by advisors for advisors, meaning we speak your language. We know what QCDs are, we know what RMDs are, we know what ACATs are. We are founded by CFPs. We have CFPs and CFAs on staff. I think that played into number three. We were the top rated CRM in the T3 survey a couple of months ago. And all right, we're trying to streamline everything, keep it in one platform, reduce logins so that you can, of course, run your business at that peak efficiency. Go to the next one. Now, how do we do that? And this one's going to be
Yeah,
fun. So
Steve,
we use, what's that?
Steve, do they call you the Mighty Might or something like that?
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. We
in
also
in
won
that
the
survey?
one of the Mighty
Yeah,
Mites, and then our, yeah. Were you too?
I thought that was a great term. No, we weren't. But I
Okay.
thought that was a great term though, right? And
Yeah, it was pretty neat. Like we're
yeah,
this little guy who isn't so little anymore, which is fun.
yeah.
Um, the homepage is a huge part of Quivr. It's kind of your command center, and it'll be fun today when we talk about this with Dustin on how current clients we think so similarly when it comes to what do we need to do today. But in short, right, the homepage, and then it's just what do we need to do, right? What is the thing that I need to do today to have a successful day? We can go to the next slide. Yep. And then Archer, of course, it's our automation engine. So this is custom built by us, helps you build your workflows, manage your internal processes. Yeah, like Dustin mentioned, we were a mighty mite, and we also had we were voted the best workflow engine in the industry, which was really, really cool. A lot of task steps are actually inside of your workflows. So I like what our partner Will Kaplan says. We're taking your learning management system, like your how do you need to do things, and we're blending it with your project management system, which is Quivr. So imagine you get a task, it hits your homepage, you click on that task, and right in that task, it tells you exactly what you need to do, how you need to do it, right? So we're trying to eliminate that inner office communication. But again, how Dustin thinks with CurrentClient, it's going to work very, very similarly. We can go to the next slide. And then, yeah, more than just software. So we look at our true offering, not only as access to Quivr, access to Salesforce, but we like to say we're teaching you to fish. So we have a new user onboarding course inside of our community that has hundreds of videos. Our users are able to get in there, watch videos, learn how Quivr works. Our objective is to have you be proficient in the system in 20 days or less. And we do not expect you to be a developer. We don't expect you to have any Salesforce experience, nothing like that. So Salesforce often has this negative connotation of being challenging, difficult, expensive. Well, we use this community and then these other items here as well to try to bridge that gap. How can we bring you a powerful vehicle? How can we bring you that Ferrari, but also make it really easy to drive? In addition to the community where we have those on-demand videos, weekly office hours, which are hosted by myself and also Will, who again, we are planners. We understand what you're trying to do. Our support team, if you can't make office hours, Ashley is amazing. She responds to tickets super quick, routes them up to us if she needs additional support. But the ticketing system, of course, I know people don't usually love that, but it's important when you need it. And then that knowledge base, right? We've alluded to already hundreds of videos teaching you not only how Quivr works, but also a ton of practice management, almost consulting work, where we're helping you learn how to use Quivr to accomplish specific job functions. Is that the last one, Ashley? Oh, lastly, yeah, we've had some success over the last couple of years. It's been really fun. I think we mentioned most of these. And then of course XYPN Live. That's where we met Dustin. But Dustin, your turn, man. Tell us about CurrentClient and how you guys differ.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Steve. And I'll kind of add my 2 cents on that of Salesforce is a beast, right? Like this is huge engine that can support massive enterprises. And so I imagine a lot of firms and solo advisors and even like small, medium-sized firms are like, why would we go pick this when like, okay, like what are some of like the big enterprises that are running on Salesforce? Like, the Denver Broncos, maybe, like these large organizations, or, Target, does that run on Salesforce? I don't know. But like
They all
you,
do. Yeah.
if you were to go look at some of the logos, like they wouldn't be like look like you, right? Like as an advisor. But I think what you've done is you've taken that power and you've sort of like channeled it into opinionated like execution, right? So it's like you wake up and it's like, okay, I don't have to go learn that massive thing because you already did it. You and Will already went and did that and put it. Now you just have to hop on and then, just use it. So I think I'm a huge fan of opinionated software. Like, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but I think software should have like a really strong preference for like, here's how you go get results. Because nobody wants to learn another app. No one wants to spend hours learning software that, there's just too much in the world right now to go learn. And it's like last thing you want to do is learn software. So I think you've done an incredible job with that. Like you log in, you're ready to go. You just got to like learn how to like, the few dials and then boom, you're ready to go. So,
Thank you.
um, so now kind of thinking about using that engine that you've created to like drive the firm forward, I think a missing piece that CurrentClient, like when I think about like what's the CurrentClient mission, like what's our vision is we want to help on that delivery side. So the CRM has the data and it has like the workflow and it owns sort of like that operational excellence of how you execute on the financial plan and the planning side. But then there's this gap of like, it doesn't matter how great your plan is if you never tell anyone about it, right? Or if you don't go communicate that out. So obviously you can email, you can, bring them into the office and all that. But I like to say like, there's a lot that could happen between those big deep dive meetings, right? So they come in, they have the plan, you get them hyped up, they get excited, they're committed, they're dedicated to go execute on that plan that you have, prepared for them, and then they leave, and then they go back to work. Then they go take care of their kids again. Then they go, struggle to, pay the bills or whatever it is, right? They get back into their day to day, and that kind of energy of the meeting that you had with them kind of fades. And then they're kind of in that little phase of life, and then you'll bring them in for the review, and then they get excited about, and they're like, "Oh yeah, let's do that, let's do." And then it wanes again, right? And I think what if I could like describe CurrentClient, it's like, how can we help you be excellent and stand out between those meetings, right? So they come in for a meeting, and now you have a tool that helps keep like the momentum, right? Keep the goal, in sight, the North Star aligned with like what behavior should they be doing, between those meetings to help deliver an exceptional experience and keep that momentum building. So what is CurrentClient? We have built a easy to use phone app that can replace a Ring Central or a Zoom phone or like these other general purpose tools that are not built for you. We can basically you cancel that service, you install us, and now you have a phone app that sort of wakes up every day and helps you be excellent between those meetings. And then you connect it to something like Quivr, and now you've got, like this compounding leverage of excellent CRM driving your firm forward with delivery on top of that, through text messages, obviously phone calls, you can do those with a phone app, imagine that. And then, those two things are now working together for that, to keep that momentum moving. So that's what we are. We're a phone app. We replace these general purpose ones for a advisor specific one. And then there's some proactive stuff we can do. So I think what would be good for this call is one, let's show how the data flows, if that works. We'll show how like the accounts are structured in Quivr, how they flow into CurrentClient, and what your day-to-day would look like. And then we can get into some of the more interesting things around like some of the proactive milestones that you can set up between Quivr and CurrentClient to get text scheduled. We can maybe talk a little bit about how we can use video to really stand out, like when there's something important to be shared. I think that would be a good little walkthrough of the app. So does that work?
Yeah. Would you
Okay,
like me to share first, or do you want to dive just into current client?
let me go ahead and share first.
Perfect.
Let me just pull it up here. Okay, so starting off, just to show you the Quivr side, and we can dive more into this, Steve, and you can take control. But I just wanted to show here inside Quivr, I can see my households. So you come in here and you put your households together, and inside a household, you're going to have your contacts. I like the structure of this. A lot of other CRMs that we've integrated with are more just person based, and it feels like almost an afterthought to like plan around a household. I like that this is just front and center, household first with contacts inside. So step one, right? If you were to use Quivr and CurrentClient together, you'd create an account with CurrentClient. So what you see here on my screen is the CurrentClient dashboard. You'd come into the settings, you'd come to the CRM sync, and you'd establish a connection with Quivr. Okay, that was like 3 clicks. You can set up an integration here. It's not going to be buried in menus and menus and menus. It's going to be, hey, here's how you connect with Quivr. Once we do that, automatically CurrentClient's going to reach out to Quivr and it's going to pull those contacts in. So I don't know about you, but for me, if I have to like add a contact into one system and then like export it out of there to then go import it into another one, to then go import it into another one, there's like this half-life of function, like of utility for every time I have to go do a manual step, right? It's like I might be really good about doing it for the first couple weeks, but I'm going to get busy. I'm going to forget. And so the first thing here that you can see is you put data in Quivr. It's going to show up in your phone app. You don't have to do anything else. Like you just set up the connection, and now anything you put in Quivr is going to be right there, searchable in your phone app. You don't have to do Zapier. You don't have to pay extra to like set up a connection. Like that's part of the service that CurrentClient gives you is you put it in your CRM. It's going to show up in your phone app. You can start texting them, start calling. It's like right there. Like for me, that now increases the likelihood that I'm going to adopt the thing, right? Because I don't have to worry about moving contacts over and remembering to do that. So looking at the CurrentClient side, if I wanted to, like I said, here's the Quivr. I got the household, the cakes family, and I got Garland and Gardy. I come into CurrentClient, and if I look for the cakes, there's Garland and Gardy. If I look at the tags, I can see that they are onboarding client household. So we're not just bringing over the name and the number, which a lot of CRM syncs, it's like they just bring over the name and the number and then they call it good, or like an email.
And
We've
one thing I love about what you guys are doing here as well is you're pulling over two data sets. You're pulling over household information, and you're also pulling over contact specific information, which is going to show up a lot because, right, like last time you've met with a client, well, that's a household data field. When did I meet with them last? But then birth date, for example, is a contact data field. So I love how you pull the data in automatically, but you're also pulling in both levels of data, both for the household and that contact, which when we get to the exciting automations part
yeah,
here, just opens up the floodgates of what you can do.
yeah. I kind of for every integration, I feel like in order for it to really be called an integration, you should have at least more than like 2 points of integration, or else it's just sort of like a loose friendship, it's like not really like committed. So for us though, it's like okay, let's bring over the name and the number, but then also like who are they? And like what are the data points that are important to bring over? And we'll bring some over by default, like their relationship to the household and their record types. Are they a prospect? Are they a client? Like where are they at on that journey? Like that's a really important segmentation, like dimension to have. But then you can go even deeper with custom fields because you won't need everything, and some fields might be more important for you with the workflows that you're going to try to achieve with CurrentClient and Quivr together. But if I come here to new field and say, yeah, let's bring over some additional ones, this is what Steve was talking about of, okay, do you want some household data, like how long they've been, like what was their onboarding date? Like when did they become a client? We could bring that in. Do you want to bring over employment information, personal information like their occupation? Like all of these now are dimensions that you can use inside CurrentClient to then take this big list of your people and start getting really thoughtful segments. And then those segments now become the audience for the automations, right? Or a mass text, or um, even if it's just like someone calls in and you want that data displayed prominently, like I want to be able to remember who their employer is or their status or their age. Like these data points are just helpful so you don't have to click between a whole bunch of different tabs. Like CurrentClient can surface that up to you.
And this is really important because people, newer Quiver users will ask us all the time, do I need this specific data field inside of the system? And honestly, like employer, for example, the answer is no. You don't need to have employer inside of Quiver. But when you open accounts, you're just going to have to know that information, or you're gonna have to do something else with it. So when we look at the data set inside of your CRM, every piece of data that you put in there should be able to be leveraged for something else. So if we look at employer, imagine you put the employer for the Cakes family for those households and those contacts. That data is now flowing into CurrentClient. You can now run automations based on employer. And in a little bit, I'll give a real life example of how I actually use that, right? So this is why it's cool. Like you're getting all of this extra information in here so you can ultimately do sweet stuff with.
Yeah, and you don't have to bring it all in, right? It's like you go
Yeah,
bring the things that are going to be important to you,
for
and
sure.
I think that's where it gives you those dials without being overwhelming, right? Of, oh yeah, this is what I need, and because I know the problem I want to solve, and now I can go bring that data in to solve it. So with that, like we're looking at the data flow, right? So data comes into CurrentClient, and now as for your day to day, it's like, oh yeah, I needed to text a client, right? So you can just pull up the dialer here, look for the Cakes family, and you can just kick off like, oh yeah, let me give them a call. And now this is just like a regular VoIP phone, right? So look what you get with Ring Central or Zoom, where you're going to make a call over the browser, or if you wanted to, you could download our mobile app and make calls there. And you're just going to have a little dialer here that you can make a call. If you want to send a text, you can hop into the inbox, and this is what your inbox would look like. So a couple of things here. Um, the inbox, you know, we don't want it to be overwhelming, but we also have packed a lot in here that as you get comfortable, there's some really cool things you can do to manage this inbox to make sure it doesn't get overwhelming. I know some advisors are a little reluctant to be like, oh, I don't want to adopt texting because I'm going to be bombarded with text. First of all, I don't think that has really happened. Like, I've not had any advisors come back to me and be like, oh, dang it, my clients are talking to me too much. I like, I get that there's this work-life balance thing that we want to establish, but we could set up autoresponders and business hours and stuff like that to like keep the, we can help you with that. But also, I just don't think it hasn't been the case where people are like, oh, they're talking to me too much. It's usually like, I want them to engage with me a little bit more, right? So anyway, with that said, I'll just kind of give a little run through here on the inbox. Okay, first is you have your active conversations. This happens when someone texts or calls you. We're going to open up the conversation and say, hey, this is active. After you respond, you can throw in like a template or something in here, say, hey, got it. And then you send off that text. Then you can mark it complete. Basically, what that does is it moves it out of the active so you can just keep the things that are important like front and center without having this never-ending list of conversations and you forget like, oh, what was I working on? So that's one thing. The other thing you can do is you can set reminders. So I'm just going to go back to that conversation and say, like, we were wanting Garland to fill out some paperwork. Say, hey, can you get to that paperwork today? You send that off, or maybe you schedule it. Maybe you're working late and you're like, okay, I'm going to send this in the morning. But then the other thing you can do is you can set a reminder and say, remind me about this in 3 days. So what this is going to do is if Garland hasn't texted back about that item, this conversation is going to pop back up to the top of your inbox, just like this, and it's going to have a little reminder icon saying, hey, this was something you wanted to follow up with, right? So we're keeping the conversations tidy. We're helping you with like keep the tempo and the momentum of getting things done. And then on the right side, we're showing the Quivr information. So you can see recent notes pulled from the CRM on the inbox here. You can see any outstanding tasks that they have from Quivr right here on this side. You can see their contact details. This is where like if you wanted to like surface particular data points just to be really easy to see, you can throw those in here. And then you can see their household information. So if you wanted to do a group chat with like you're texting Garland, it's like, oh yeah, we need to include the spouse or the partner real quick. Let's do that. Let's text the household. Now it creates a group chat with all of them. So this is what your daily sort of experience would look like with CurrentClient. Contacts coming in, synced with your inbox. You're having the text conversations, you're making the phone calls, and all of this is sort of run out of this very, I would say, simple, like visually simple inbox, but then there's layers of kind of power features that you can kind of get into when you're ready for them.
And guys, we do have a couple questions. Do you want to answer
Yeah, that,
those? Okay.
yeah, let's hop in.
So we have one. Can you use a desk phone if you're old-fashioned and like real phones?
I yeah, I wish the answer was yes, but it's no right now. With CurrentClient, we've been asked that and maybe in the future, but right now we are web. So like you log into currentclient.com in the browser, you can download a desktop app. So this is like an icon that will show up in like on in your dock or as like a long-lived app, if not in the browser. And then we have a mobile app. So you can download the mobile app and use it there. But yeah, no connection to those physical phones right now. I
Okay.
get it. I get it. It's nice to have something to pick up and hold.
Yeah. All right. And one more question right now. So what will our text calls show up as to our clients? Caller ID, question mark. Can we have it easily mirror our existing office number?
Yeah, good question. So with caller ID, little tangent, when a business wants to start texting, there's some new regulations. It's called A to P 10 DLC. Long story short, basically you have to go tell the phone carriers, we're legit. Here's our tax information. We're not like some, short-lived company. We are a legit entity that's going to be sending text. So we will establish that with you. We'll kind of concierge black box that. Like we only work with advisors, so we're really quick at kind of moving that through. Um, and then we will go to the phone carriers and register it's called C name and then shake and stir, basically identifying that this is a legit phone number now tied to this registration, and we'll set up all that for you. We don't control, like we can't force a client's phone to display a particular name on the caller ID, but we do provide the registration so that if their phone supports it, that it can do the lookup and display your name if it's there. It's not as simple as saying, oh yeah, this is my caller ID and now it shows up everywhere 100% of the time. The phone systems just don't work like that.
So is it pretty comparable to how all of the other ones work then?
It's right. Yeah.
Okay.
You're not going to have any less experience with us on the caller ID front than you would go into a Zoom or a Ring Central. Yeah. We'll go through all of the same registration steps. And we do ask what your caller ID is so that when we go register it, we can say, hey, this phone number belongs to this firm. And here's the caller ID that they prefer to be shown. Yeah, good question. Little in the weeds there, but hopefully that made sense.
All right. That was all the questions for now.
Okay. I think maybe with like the last end of this call, should we go into like some of the proactive stuff, Steve? And maybe this is where you could share like your screen and like talk a little bit about.
Well, well,
Or
actually, just go back to Cheryl. I think
okay,
you've
we
got
can
the
do it
two.
here.
Oh,
Perfect.
perfect. So what got me really excited about Current Client was the automations. So the widget he was just in right there is great. The ability to text. I like the app. It's smooth. But where I got really excited was the automations component. So that's a huge feature inside of Quivr. We call it a process, and the whole premise of a process is tell me when I should do something. Help me appear incredibly proactive to my clients, but in reality, I'm being reactive. So, for example, in Quivr, you're able to set up simple things such as if a life insurance policy is maturing in 15 months, tell me, because I lost a client 10 years ago because I missed a life insurance maturity and they got upset, rightfully so. Or if a client is 3 or 4 months away from 65, thus their Medicare window is opening, tell me. So Quivr every night just scans your system looking for things that you decide, and we give you hundreds of templates for these things, and then it tells you when it's time to act. Social Security FRA, clients turning 59 and a half, client birthday, and endless opportunities, right? So when we were looking earlier, right, when he pulled up all of those, when Dustin pulled up all of those fields, and I paused and I was like, employer, I'll come back to that. You can do things such as if a client works somewhere, do something. Which why would that matter? Well, personally, I still do practice. I've got maybe a dozen or so clients who work for the same employer, General Mills. They're all executives. They all have the exact same executive compensation schedule. Imagine setting up an automation in the system that says, on a specific day, which is before their RSUs or their stock option vest, and you work for General Mills, I want to send this text message. Or, 4 months before somebody's 65, I just want to get a notification that it's time to send this text message. So you're able to take kind of the same thinking as Quivr, which is right, be reactive but appear proactive, and you can apply it to texting inside of Current Client in the exact same format. So for example, Dustin, can you hop into
Yeah.
Quivr for a second and then go
Yep.
look at click into, yeah, Garland, and then go look at, oh, that's fine. Go back actually. And then just scroll down a little bit and click on the key dates for me. So we'll just give a real life, very simple example. That top section where it says activity tracking, Quiver's scanning your system constantly. Every night it updates. It says, tell me the last time I completed a task, or tell me the last time I've spoken with this client, or I had a meeting with this client. We have a ton of advisors on the system, and one of them's actually here. We helped them build a dashboard that showed them, tell me any client that is an A client that I haven't met within 180 days. Well, what you can do with this now is because Quivr has these fields, and those fields are mapping to current client. Inside of current client, you're very easily able to say if the client's last activity date, happens every year, it's yeah, whatever, 180 days, and you can filter based on segmentation and all of these different things to get to that very specific subset of people. You can now get out of the way, and current client is just going to email you, or you log in and you see it that says, hey, you haven't met with the Cake family who is an A client in 180 days. Here is a templated email that says, hi, insert first names. I hope you're doing well. We haven't chatted in a long time. I want to meet with you. Here's my Calendly link. And it just automatically goes out. So you're no longer like scouring through your data to see who you haven't met with. You're also not just constantly looking at your bigger clients to see when the last time you met with them. You're simply creating a rule inside of current client and potentially inside of Quivr as well that just simply says, I want to meet with my A clients every 180 days. Tell me when it is time to meet with my A clients. I want to meet with my B clients once a year. I want to talk to my C clients, I don't know, once in person every year, and the opposite year on a phone call or something like that. Like this is where you get to take that to the next level. And when we were talking earlier too about the two specific data sets that current client is collecting, it's both household data and contact data. So the last time we've met, the last time we've talked on the phone, the last time we reviewed your IPS, the last time we reviewed your life insurance, all of these fields are getting captured inside of Quivr and passing to current client. But then if we look at contact information, it's well, how are you about to turn 65? Are you about to turn 62 for Social Security? Are you about to turn your FRA date? Are you about to turn 50 so we can do the catch-up contributions? Are you about to turn 55? Are you about to turn 59 and a half? All of these key dates, you can do the exact same thing. So Dustin, when we were building out this integration, he told me, can you build like 3 or 4 of these automation or outreach schedules inside of CurrentClient. I said, sure, not a problem. I think I built what, 18, 19, 20 of them because we were able to take those data sets and just say, well, 3 months before 65, I want to do something. 3 months before 62, I want to do something. My General Mills clients, I want to do something, right? You have all of this data that you can just spend an hour or two building it, which Dustin's help center inside of CurrentClient is great. Inside of Quivr, we have a community, as I mentioned earlier, with hundreds of videos. There's a section in there now where we're tracking, these are the ones we think are really cool. It's kind of like my take on it, which may or may not be helpful for you, I guess. But my take on it is applying Quivr in more detail to the functionality of CurrentClient. So the hope is just build this one time, and you've got a piece of technology in the background just telling you when it is time for you to implement your desired service calendar. Not my desired service calendar, but yours. Did I explain that good, Dustin? I don't know. I get really
Yeah.
excited about that.
No, yeah, I think you did well. And I would say like you start with like what is a milestone you want to make sure you don't miss, right? And maybe there's two or three that you can think of. It's like, well, let's go model those and set those up. And then you get comfortable with that. And then you can start layering on. Like you said that you maybe thought of like 18. Like that's that's gonna be hard to go do that right now, but like you could certainly go add on three or four, but then know like with the help of the Quivr team and CurrentClient, like there is this really great sort of like fallback of I know my systems are going to catch me if I miss something, right?
Mhm.
And maybe not even catch me, but help me like move forward and take the right next best step. And so what that would look like inside CurrentClient is you'd come here and these are the dates, right? So what are the dates in Quivr that you want to act on? So birthday is really easy for people to kind of like get and understand. It's like, oh yeah, birthday is important. Let's send them a text on their birthday. But the next meeting is another one that you could do. And it's not like on their next meeting, we want to send a text. We want to maybe send that like 2 weeks before, right? Or, you know, 7 days before, like the week before, like we want to have that meeting to like try to get it scheduled or whatever it is. Last activity was the one that you were specifically just talking about, where it would be after, right? So now this is if I'm going to say their last activity date after 180 days. So if that activity date ever gets to 180 days, like CurrentClient will catch that and then basically we'll queue up a text and say, hey, was thinking about you today. Have any time next week to catch up? You can put whatever you want in here, right? But this is now the template. And then I think something really important to call out here is I know for me, in a very relationship heavy service that advisors offer, it's really important that you don't have an automation do something that will leave you embarrassed if you run into that client in the grocery store. For example, a birthday. If your automation takes care of the birthday, but then you see them in the grocery store and you don't actually remember or know that it was their birthday today, that is, I would say, like failure state. We don't want that to happen. So what we've done with CurrentClient is we schedule these 7 days in advance. So a lot of automation platforms that are built for tire shops or jewelry stores or, boutique online e-commerce businesses, which there's a ton of those. They don't care about actually keeping the user in the loop of that automation. The user just says, go do this thing, and then they're trying to drive sales. Buy one, get one, spring special. I always say like advisors never run like a buy one, get one 401k, right? It's like there's no spring special in this, right? Unless there's like a downturn, right? And then go buy, 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 buy. But like for me, what's really important is like every automation we turn on is really safe because we'll schedule them 7 days before. So you wake up and you get a text or an email from CurrentClient saying, hey, we scheduled a birthday for you. You'd come to your dashboard and you'd be able to see that there's an upcoming scheduled message. It looks something kind of like this, where, hey, we got a birthday coming up and it's going out to Merrill. Oh, actually, let me edit that one real quick because Merrill and I have an inside joke. He hates his birthday. So the last thing he wants is a birthday. So I'm going to give him an unbirthday text, right? So what we do is we allow you to have that time window. The automation kicks up, shows you the event. It's now there on your upcoming for 7 days, so you can edit, delete, remove, change before it actually goes out. And I think that for me is really helpful to think about as an advisor of like, okay, this is getting me to the 1 yard line, but it's still kind of on me to like give it that final approval before it's actually delivered. And I think that is really important as an advisor because now it's like, okay, I saw this Merrill one birthday like for 7 days. If I see him at the grocery store a couple days before, I'm going to just say, hey, it's your birthday in a couple days, right? It's like there's this compounding kind of visibility I think is really valuable and important to call out with the automations we're
You
doing.
remain personalized and high, that high level of touch. It's just it's
Mm.
needed. It's no different than an email. If you need a client's tax return and you're emailing them to get the tax return, your email's not going to say, "Hi, send me your tax return." You're going to have that one or two
Yeah,
sentence intro at the beginning that just personalizes that email. Exactly.
yeah, yeah. And if we lose that, it's kind of like, what's left for the advisor to do,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, like there's a lot that's going on, but I think with AI taking over the back office, it's like almost the last bastion of the advisor is going to be that empathy. I think Carl Richards said this really well on his Behavior Gap podcast. He had an interview with Michael Kitces a few months back on AI and how it's changing. And he had this quote that I thought was really great. It's like the value offers your humanity and your empathy, right? So if we try to automate that, I think we've lost it, but we can queue things up and help you stay on top of that, right? So that's how we think about automations and everything we're doing. One other little throw in that I'll do here is video, I think is a great way to stand out and be a little bit different for those scenarios that need a little bit higher touch. So what we've done is we've created a way that you can come in here and brand shareable video pages. So you give us your logo, we can even put it on your custom domain. So like if your domain is like Sage Financial, like we can host videos on top of your domain, not our domain, but your domain. Drost Financial or Sage Financial or Trinity Financial, or whatever it is. And then you can create these video pages, um, create a little like video or share your screen or something, and your clients you could now take these shareable video pages and throw these into like a shareable in a text, right? So now instead of just automating a text that is words, it's like, hey, recorded a quick little video for you to explain some of the paperwork we need. Please check it out here, right? And you can kind of start compounding some of this automation with this personalization of the video. And I think that's a great recipe for really standing out and showing up for your people.
All right, and we have another
So
question that
yeah,
came
let's
in.
dive in.
It says, do text messages sent and received show up on Quivr's household activity timeline?
Yeah, we will push those
Just
to
show,
you.
share and show.
Yeah, the activity timeline basically will be a daily summary of the previous day. So when you send a text, let me see if I can go find one here. So you'll see a text log kind of like this. So you send a text today, you have 10 messages back and forth. Tomorrow morning, we'll put a log record here of the previous day. We don't want to send one for every message. You'll just get kind of busy. So we just try to group it and do a daily digest. And Salesforce doesn't allow for a super beautiful view of this, but the data is here and accessible. And so you can see here, here's the day, the text log for that day, and you can see the client right here. And then this would be your name as the advisor. And it's time-stamped with the log of what was going on. And you can see that back and forth here.
Mhm. And then those unfamiliar with what this section is, that activity timeline is it's a chronological feed of everything you've done with that client. So every meeting, every text message, every phone call, every task, every note, everything just shows up right there. So the root of that question, and it was from a Quivr user, it's very important to them because you want to be able to go to a household or a contact and just see everything. And that was part of what we worked with Dustin on in this integration was, yeah, sure, getting that data into Quivr is important, but getting it into Quivr and in the right spot is probably more important than just getting it in there. I don't know. I get really excited when you
Yeah.
were showing that list. I actually thought of a few. We had a user at office hours a couple of weeks ago. They're starting to schedule for their upcoming surge, and it just hit me when you were looking through that. If they were a current client user, I saw you had a next meeting, and you could do something like if next meeting is blank, or if next meeting isn't scheduled, or if next meeting is, whatever. You could actually just imagine in there, that person could just have their surge scheduling automated. They could just send it to everybody on Monday, and then Tuesday of the next week, if somebody hasn't scheduled yet, that'll be blank. And if that's blank, they could send it again. And then if it's blank, they could send it again. So you could almost have like a 3 or 4 text workflow, more or less, completely automated scheduling for your surge, which got me really excited.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Surge is kind of like, do like a poll, so bring that data in, do the segmentation. You could even just do like a mass text, like, hey, Surge is happening.
Yep.
Like, here's a video, right? Reiterating the purpose and the value of these meetings
Hmm.
with right underneath that video, a link to the scheduler, right? Your Calendly link or whatever it is, G reminders. So, and then you send out a mass text, and then they go in, they schedule, it gets populated, right? Like there's a lot of opportunity here to who's the people that need the message, and then let's get to delivery. Quivr knows who the people are. Current client can do that delivery, right? So you got both systems kind of working together.
And it's just an example too of like how Quivr is different than some of the other CRMs on the market because the data that we're able to give your tool is just,
Yeah,
I might be
it
biased, but it's just better.
it it is more. It is definitely more. I think in order to go get this level of, especially I think any of the CRMs that we've integrated with can go create a static field and you can label it whatever you want, next meeting date. But the problem we've had is that doesn't update. It doesn't move along automatically. And so again, as soon as you have a manual operation, it's like the half-life of the efficiency of that, the decay is terrible because
Mhm.
people don't do it. And so it's like, oh, I have a next meeting, a custom field called next meeting. I have to go manually update that each time. You might do it the first time, but the second time, 50%, the third time, 25%, and pretty soon you just are not even using that field and it's clutter. Whereas the Quivr data is self-healing, right? Like it's driving forward with you. So
It's fun.
yeah.
Um, and any other questions come in? Anything else? Doesn't look like it. All right. Well,
Yeah.
great. If you want to learn more about Quivr, quivrcrm.io, hit up our website, schedule a demo, come hang out with me for a bit, learn more about the system, and if it ultimately is right for you, cool. And if it's not, that's fine as well. Dustin, for those of our attendees interested in learning more about
Yep.
Current Client,
Yeah. CurrentClient.com is a great spot. So we try to make it easy. Just go check it out there, and there'll be plenty of opportunity to like reach out to us during that process too.
perfect. Well, awesome. Thank you everybody for attending. I hope you were as excited about this as the three of us were.
Yeah, this was fun.
Oh, we had one extra question come in. Timeline on the current client AI summary.
So we have a very simple AI summary now. We've been trying to figure out like our strategy with this is like, do we try to like roll our own or do we try to just let you bring your AI note taker of choice? And I think we're going to shift our Q3 focus to just working really well with the AI note taker that you have. So bring us your note taker, we'll reach out to them and we'll work on an integration. How that would work is basically you finish a phone call. We just want to be able to pass that over and say, hey, AI note taker, phone call happened. Can you process it for them? So that's probably our Q3 timeline is you bring us a note taker and we'll just be really easy to work with on pushing the data. But we do, as of now, if you have a phone call with current client, we can provide like a one paragraph recap of that meeting, which is helpful for like the quick, like what was this even about? But it's not a facts and figures digest, right? It's a very simple, high level summary.
So then the end goal with that is just every phone call you have with clients is processed
Has
and
a
pushed back to that activity timeline, so you have that in your repository.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
And then we can do that today, right? Like that's in today, but the I think sometimes when people are asking for out a summary, their expectation is the full-on table of facts and figures and pushing back to the CRM with updates and all that. And we're not doing that.
Any other last second questions?
Cool. This was fun. I really appreciate diving in, and thanks again, Ashley, for